Alrighty, how's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. This one, we're going to be talking about pot selection. Just a quick one. I was just thinking about this earlier on, and so as I was thinking about it, I thought I may as well share it with you guys. It's kind of what I do. So just thinking about pot selection, I've just been sorting out some of my houseplant pots. I've got a few spare ones at the moment. This is quite a nice one, quite a nice colour, and it's got like a mottled texture to it, which is quite nice, I think. I've got this one as well that works really nicely in my office because the curtains in my office are the same colour as this, and I have a few other sort of grey accents, so it's quite nice to coordinate a pot with it. So, you know, you see it's got those nice facets to it as well. I do like a pot, and quite often if I'm at a garden centre or a houseplant shop and I see a particularly nice pot, I'll grab it there and then, even if I don't have a houseplant to go with it, because it's good to have like a few kicking about like this, because if you do get a new plant, they will invariably come in a nursery pot like this, just your standard brown pot. And it's nice to be able to accessorize with something, because it really can make a massive difference to the look of your houseplant if you get a nice shape or texture or size pot to go with it. But there are a few things to bear in mind, because I've made these mistakes in the past, and you can make your life a lot easier for yourself if you consider this. Now, I've just grabbed this Tradescantia because it was in my reaching distance before I started recording. It's quite a nice little Tradescantia. I can't remember exactly which variants this is, but it's got these beautiful purple underside to the leaves. I love it, and it's prolific. As you can see, it's knocking out babies here. I'll do a species guide on this one day, because it is really prolific in terms of creating new plants. So it's a great one if you want to create extra house plants for your friends and family, etc. But anyway, the point is, you've got one, and you've just arrived home with it, and it's in a nursery pot. Now obviously water comes through the bottom here, soil comes out from the bottom sometimes as well. So if you want to display this on a dining room table, on a wooden windowsill, or on a wooden desk or something, it's not overly practical to have it in its original pot like this. And so you might want to buy a new pot, or you might have a pot for it and you think this would be the perfect pot to go in my office. Great. So you've got a few options. You can literally stick it in there. In this case, it's okay, but the pot's way smaller than the this houseplant pot, so it looks a bit drowned. You can't even see half of the babies in there, so it's not ideal. So you could just put some more soil in here and plant it in here. Job done. And that is job done. But see, what you've got to bear in mind is it makes the watering a lot harder if you plant directly into these pots, because no drainage holes, which is the point of it. You've got these nice pads on here which will protect any wooden surface from getting scratched or anything. Great, that's kind of the point of them, that they don't have drainage. If you want to have drainage, you can buy a pot with drainage, and that's fine. But if you plant directly in here, you'll have no drainage whatsoever, which can be done. I've got plants like that, but it's harder to maintain the watering. It takes a lot more skill when you can't see how much water is coming through. Like I said in my recent watering video, the best way to know when something is properly watered is to stick it in the sink or in a bowl or in your bathtub and just give it a really good thorough watering, because that way all the water drains through and you know that all of the soil has been saturated. And if it's particularly dry, if you put it in a bowl, just leave the excess water to mount up there, because after half an hour, the soil will actually sort of wick up some more water as well, as much as it needs really. And then you can take it out and let it drain out for a little while and then put it back, which is great. But if you've got it smack bang in a pot like this, you can't do that. So you've got to put some in and not put too much in, because that's a problem. It's got nowhere for it to go, so it would just sit in the bottom of the pot and become a problem, because the soil in the bottom of the pot would just get soggy like a bog, and any roots getting in there would start rotting. You've got a real problem on your hands. If you don't put enough in, then the plant's not going to do very well because it's just not getting enough moisture. So you're creating more trouble for yourself by doing it. You can do it, but I've done it myself a few times, and I've in the end, or most of my plants, when it comes time to repot, I've taken the opportunity to repot it into a bigger pot and then put it into the outer pot, just to make my life easier, really. So I thought, as I was thinking about this, I would do a video just to steer any of you away from maybe planting directly into a pot like this, just in case you had thought about it, because you end up learning from experience, and the experience isn't always a good one, especially if you lose a plant because you're not quite watering it and correctly. And if you're new to things and you're still getting to grips with watering, then you don't need any extra hassle through, you know, not getting it right. So in this case, if you've got something like this in a nursery pot, what I would just simply do is have a scrabble around for an appropriate sized pot. I always keep my old nursery pots, so when I'm done with this one, I'll take it out and just keep this all in a bunch. They all fit into each other, so they don't take up too much room, and you know, they're great for recycling. It means you're not constantly buying plastic, which is a good thing, and it means you can mix and match later on. And over the years, I've amassed all different sizes and shapes of pots, which is great because I never have to worry. When I have an odd shaped pot like this, I know that somewhere I've got a suitable pot, or one close enough to use. So for this one's pretty close enough. It's more or less the same size at the top. It's obviously a bit lower, but the general top is the same size, which means that sits in there perfect, just about an inch below the surface there. It will either be quite happy like that, or you can actually just put something in the bottom to raise it up half an inch. If you're worried a few stones would do that, and that also helps with drainage, because if you bring it right just below the rim of the pot, you still won't see the nursery pot, but you've got a good sort of 3/4 of an inch then under there, that you've got some gravel in there or something to raise it up. And then when you do water it thoroughly, the water will drain through and sit separately, and then every now and again, when you think about it, take the main pot out, pour away the excess water. But that way you've got the best of both worlds. You've got it looking nice, but you've got somewhere for the water to go, and a little recess at the bottom to actually go somewhere. If the pot fills up all the way to the bottom, obviously the water has nowhere to go and may backfill into the bottom of the pot. But just something to think about. You can either leave it a little bit lower like that, or just raise it up with some garden stones. Give them a quick rinse. Before you put them in, just in case there's any pathogens or anything, any sort of harmful bugs around in the garden. So just to keep things nice, that you don't introduce anything into your plants when you bring them in. But yeah, give them a quick rinse in the sink, stick them in the bottom of the pot, then you've got the perfect height. And then you can, let's just do it now quickly, just for the sake of completeness. Well, kinda. So you can literally just pop it out of the pot like that. You don't have to disturb the roots or anything if it's not a good time of year. Winter is not a good time of year to do this. Plants are generally more dormant, and so not a good time to mess around with the roots too much. Okay, so you can just carefully do this, like that, and then just backfill with some extra soil you've got kicking around, like that. Let's just assume that's all done. I'll finish that off in a minute. But then you've got your suitably raised Tradescantia in its pot, and everything is just the way you want it. You've got space to water it. You've got a nice outer pot that isn't going to leak on your desk or on your table. Best of both worlds. So that's it really. That's all I wanted to talk about, is how you make your pot selection choices and the reasons, and perhaps a bit of advice about these type of pots. I do prefer them. A lot of my plants I have in these sort of outer pots, but generally I don't plant directly in them. That's all I wanted to say in this one, just to help you out if you're not really decided on these things. If you were going to plant directly in the pot, you know, you don't have to follow my advice, but certainly in the past it has caused problems. So just a little heads up for you there. I hope it's been of help to some people. I've got a few other pots I need to sort out in the potting shed here, and I'll get them fixed up. But yeah, as I was out here contemplating this, I thought I would share the bit of advice for you for today. That's all it is. Give it a thumbs up if you found this information remotely useful or helpful. Subscribe for more houseplant related videos coming along very soon, and enjoy your houseplants this week, guys, and I'll catch you again very soon. Bye for now.